Well, hello everybody. Jeff Cowan here from Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk, and I'm back with a new edition of my podcast entitled Right Service, Write Your Own Paycheck, the path to making over $100,000 a year when writing service in the automotive industry in the United States of America, Canada, and Australia. And like I've said dozens and dozens and dozens of times, you know, right now, just over 20% of you are doing just that, making over $100,000 a year. But like I always say as well, that means that nearly 80% of you are not. So what do we do about that? Well, you can go to automotiveservicetraining.com. That's my website, automotiveservicetraining.com, and play around on there. You'll find articles, blogs, and all the tools you need to help you become very successful. Or you can simply just keep watching me on these podcasts, because I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that you have everything you need to get in that $100,000 a year club, because it is a fun club to be in. But today, I am back with the final part of a three-part message that we started a couple of weeks ago, and man, I tell you what, we must have really struck a note. And I'm so glad that I listened to your phone calls, emails, and texts, because you asked for this message, and we're delivering it on it, and based on your responses to the first two episodes of it, the first two parts, you really like what you're hearing. And if you like what you've heard so far, you're going to like what you hear today. So you'll remember, if you've watched the last two, if you haven't, go back and watch them. I got a lot of texts and emails from you asking about how do we find new service advisors. You know, and the reason you're asking that is because, as we discussed, I think a few weeks ago, is that you're having record business. I mean, like I said, if you're not having your best service year ever right now, or at least one of your best service years ever, you're doing something wrong. This market, this business, this industry, the service side of it is on fire. And that's why people are looking for new advisors, because they've got so much business. So I decided to share with you a three-part message. We've done the first two, and you remember that the first week we did, it was all based on how to write an employment ad, and then how to interview the person, and how to detect whether or not you've got somebody that would be a great service advisor sitting in front of you so you could hire them. Then last week we came back with part two of the message, which was, you know, training them to make them successful within 30 to 60 days. Because as you saw in that message, and as I said, I think before I played it, is that I'm not talking about getting them on the path to success in 30 to 60 days. I showed you last week how to get them to a point that within the first 30 to 60 days, they're matching, are very, very close to matching the numbers of your biggest producers on your service drive. And if you watched last week, you know why I'm saying that. I got to tell you, got a lot of phone calls in that remark, and it was a lot of fun. This series is getting a lot of attention. But here we are this week with the third and final part. And you know what? This third part, even though it ties in very well with the first two parts, it could also be a standalone message. It's a very good meeting and a message on goal setting and keeping people motivated. So if there's anybody in your building that you think needs to be motivated or needs to be taught what goal setting is and that type of stuff, bring them in, because this is a good message. As a matter of fact, here's what it's called. It's called Keeping Them on Board Long Term through Motivation and Goal Setting. So again, today's message is keeping your new employee on board long term through setting goals and keeping them motivated. I know you're going to like this message. I like this message. I'm looking forward to talking to some of you after this is over, like I have the last few weeks, and hearing your comments, hearing your thoughts, because I know you're just going to love that. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Now stay on, because we're going to fade into this final part here. But until I see you in a few weeks with another new message, this is Jeff Cowan saying God bless you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Now. So, we placed the ad, we got them here, we showed them we were serious with the contract, we trained them, not only with the initial training, but we trained them long term. We're continuing to train them, because training is not something you did, it's something you do. It never stops. Sales training certificates should come with an expiration date. They should have to recertify at least once a year on your process. Can they still do it? So we've done all that, but we promised them that we give them their preferred lifestyle, or maybe even a lifestyle that they never dreamed of they could have. So how are we going to do that? We have to get them motivated. We have to make them see. Because here's what happens a lot of times as service advisors. We'll find these people. They'll be a waiter or waitress at Applebee's. They're an ex-truck driver. They're an ex-host or hostess. They just came out of the military. Maybe they're making $30,000 or $40,000. We bring them in, we put them in a position that now pays on average $65,000. We've increased their income by 50%. Every goal they had, you just accomplished with the snap of a finger. So how do we get them to keep growing? How do we keep them excited about sales? How do we keep them in the mind frame that there's more?
And the way you're going to do that is you're going to sit them down and you're going to set goals, okay? You got to show them what's in it for me. Now, this is another one. I hate to keep going back to Bev, but this woman was so inspirational. You know, you meet some of those people sometime in your life, and you just know. This was a person that had a huge impact on me. And what she did is she not only made sure I was right for the position, and she not only got me ready for the position, because the first day I walked out on her sales floor, my shoulders were back, my head was up, and I thought I could. I dared people to walk in. It wasn't a question of if I was going to close them. The question was what I was going to close them on. I mean, that's the type of attitude she instilled in people. But she also saw somebody who'd come from an area that didn't have a lot, and by what she was going to pay me, it'd be real easy for me to start to settle. So she wanted to show me that there was more. And she knew the way to do that was to get me excited about something I never thought was possible. Okay, so let me show you how she did it. Let me show you how I've done it my whole life. Let me show you how we showed people to do it, and they too have been successful. We do this, everything I'm getting ready to show you, we do this at Pro Talk. You're ever in Rancho, Santa Margarita, stop by our office. You'll walk in there, and there is a wall that is 20 by 12, and on that wall is pictures of everything that everybody in that office is going to accomplish through their goals by being successful at Pro Talk. Every day you walk in, everybody has to look at it. So what are we going to do? Well, first we have to do this. We have to show your people that making money, because you'll get these people will tell you this, Jeff, money can't solve all your problems. Money can't buy you love. Well, I think the Beatles were right 40, 50 years ago when they said that. Money can't buy you love. Trust me, I've tried. Okay? But there's nothing wrong with money. I've never had anybody leave me because I made too much of it. You know what I mean? So what we got to do is we're going to make them understand that it's okay to have money. Let me show you how we do that. I use the National Football League. Anybody in here a big football fan? Getting ready for the Super Bowl? Anybody excited about that deal? Have anybody in here from New England or anybody in here from Seattle? No? That's going to be a great Super Bowl, I can tell you that. So here's how we do this. Using the National Football League, here's how I prove that money is nothing more than freedom of choice. Okay, let me kind of turn this so everybody can see it here. All right, using the National Football League. All right. I tell them this, if you're out here on this outer rim, you're making $25,000 to $30,000 a year. That means you're probably making enough to sit down on your couch on every Sunday and watch your favorite team play football. Nothing wrong with that. Done it hundreds of times in my lifetime, and I hope to be able to do it hundreds of more times. But that's what that will afford you. You get on this next level in here, and now you're making $35,000 to $45,000 a year. That means you're now making enough to go to the local pub and watch the game with your friends. And you say it takes more money to go to a pub and watch the game? Well, it must, because every time I go, it costs me $50 or $60, and I don't even drink that much. Then you get into this next level in here, and let's say that's $50,000 to $75,000 a year, and that means you're now making enough to buy a ticket to go see the game live in person. Wouldn't that be fun? You say it takes that kind of money? Yes, it does. My daughter wanted to see the great Peyton Manning throw some footballs before he left Indianapolis. So we went down there a couple years to watch this. $65 a person, $130 to walk in the door, not including parking, not including programs, souvenirs, or food, $130. We were in the 10-yard line, 5 rows up. Take your hands and go just like this. If it wasn't happening right here, we paid $130 to watch a football game on TV with 65,000 other people. But we won, and me and the daughter got closer. Then you get into this line in here where you're making $80,000 to $100,000 a year, which service advisors can now do. They've breached that six-figure mark. And advisors, I just said that, watching this video, you can make $100,000 writing service, okay? You get to this level, now you're making enough to get on an airplane and fly to the next person's town and watch your team play there. Wouldn't that be fun to go down to Dallas and watch America's favorite team, or go up to New England and see Tom Brady? Or go down to Miami, or go to San Diego in December and watch the Chargers? I mean, you may not even like the Chargers, but it's San Diego. It's going to be 75 there in December. Where do you live? Right? And then you get in this level in here, and I don't know how much money this is, but this is when you take your team and you put them on your jet and you fly to the next town and play the other person's team. What's the difference between these levels? The difference is how much money you make. The more money you make, the more choices you have. It's as simple as that. Now, I've met people out here on this ring that were some of the most miserable people you'd ever want to meet. At the same time, I've met people in that ring who are the happiest people you'd ever want to meet. Money had nothing to do with it. Same thing for the very center and every level in between. I've met many people in here, most miserable, unhappy, unruly people you'd ever want to meet. But I've also met people that are the happiest people you'd ever want to meet right there. Money had nothing to do with it. All money is freedom of choice. The more money you make, the more choices you have. And here's how you can tell if you got enough money. If you woke up this morning and opened up your curtains and you looked across the street at your neighbor's brand new boat and you said, man, I'd like to have a brand new boat. Here's what I tell salespeople. Well, go get one. Well, I couldn't do that. Why not? That's a lot of money. Well, go make more money. Good salespeople always know how to do that. So if there's anything you want in life, then you're just simply not, and you can't do it, it's because you're not making enough money. Because that's all money is freedom of choice. So there's nothing wrong with that. Let's go on here. Here's what I know about money, though. Human nature gets involved. The average person will not pursue making more money unless they have a reason to make more money. You understand that, right? That's the reason to become complacent. You see, like I said a second ago, especially in the service advisor realm. I bring somebody in that's used to making $30,000, $40,000 a year, which is typically what happens, and I put them in a chair where they're making $65,000 or $70,000 a year. Every goal they had just got solved overnight. Their mortgage is no longer a problem. Their car is no longer a problem. All right? So they become complacent. So we've got to make them see, we've got to force them to be successful. Because let me tell you something about goals. Goals are being met right now as we sit in this room in your service department. The question is, whose goals? Is it your people because they've got enough and they're not willing to do anymore? They're not willing to sell anymore? They're not willing to learn a few word tracks, walk around cars? Are they setting your goals? Are you setting the goals and saying, we're going to do this, and by doing so, you're forcing them to be successful? You don't have to force them if you help them get involved with their goals. Now, there's two things that will get people to pursue goals or make more money make more money. Two things will cause people to make more money. One is tragedy. Tragedy in their life that happens is so bad they have to make more money or the whole world's going to fall apart. Or the other one is desire to acquire. Now, when you walk out of here, I'm going to recommend that you get your people fired up and get them and help them create the desire to acquire within themselves. I would never suggest you go out here and start tragedy in their life. I mean, I would never want to see you walk out here and set their house on fire. Might get them motivated, but it might put you in jail. It's the funny thing about America. You burn down somebody's house, they get pretty upset. All right, so let's keep going here. All right, let's talk about the difference between people who do and people who don't. Again, another personal story. You guys okay? Being kind of quiet. You out there? Let's hear you. There you go. We're at the best training day ever. You understand that, right? Alan Ram, Dave Anderson, all those guys. This is going to be some fun stuff. You know, I remember being 18 years old and walking home to my parents one afternoon, Sunday afternoon. I remember it was like it was yesterday, and I walked in the room, in the living room where they were sitting, and I flipped my ponytail off my chest so they could see my Aerosmith Get Your Wings t-shirt that I got at the concert the night before when Nazareth opened up. Great show, Market Square Arena, right? I said, Mom, Dad, I'm a man. I went out this afternoon and signed my name on a brand new lease. I'm now moving out. And my parents, being the smart people they are, instantly fell to the floor and started laughing as hard as I've ever seen them laugh. Now, as they were laughing, I started packing. They see I'm packing, so they move into this mode, hey, look, you know, you really don't know anything. You don't have, you know, you just got out of high school. Why don't you stay here? There's no shame in that. Let us help you out. But the more they talk like that, the faster I packed. My dad, being the very intelligent guy he was, saw I was going and gave me that day some of the best advice I think you could ever give anybody. And here's what it was. He said, you know, you're going. I know there's nothing I can do to stop you. But if you're going to go, I want you to go have a great life. I want you to have it. I want you to see it. I want you to do it. He said, understand the difference between people who do and people who don't is where they set their goals. People who set their goals high, when they attain those, everything else takes care of itself. But people who put their goals firmly on necessities, that's all they ever end up with. He said, I know when we raised you, you never had all the toys in life. If you got them, you're the last person on the street to get them. And he was right. It was just last Christmas I got the game Pong. That's a fun game. We never got to go on the vacations. Our big vacation was we went to Kings Island, which is an amusement park, an hour and a half out of Indianapolis over in Cincinnati. Now, I'm not going to tell you we were poor and lived in a dirt house or went hungry, because we didn't. I was loved. We never had an empty belly. Always had a roof over our head. But I know that for a fact my parents lived paycheck to paycheck. A lot of sickness in the family. He said, so I want you to understand when you leave here, you can't worry about the necessities. Understand that when you signed your name on the lease today, the goal has been realized. If the goal becomes to make enough money to pay the rent so they don't kick you out, you're in over your head, you're chasing necessities, you'll never have anything. Understand, he said, if you go buy a brand new car, the second you sign on the dotted line, the goal has been realized. If the goal becomes to make enough money to pay the car payment so they don't repossess, you're in over your head, you're chasing necessities, and you'll never have anything. Understand, he said, every time you signed a sales receipt for a charge card, the goal has been realized. If the goal becomes to make enough money to keep the card paid down, So they don't shut it down. You're chasing necessities, you're in over your head, and you'll never have anything. Now, that's good advice, but you know what? I did not listen. And here's how pathetic my life was. I'd get up on Monday morning, go outside, start my car, and say I had a quarter of a tank of gas. Here's the problem with that. It takes a full tank of gas to get back and forth to work. I'd instantly dig around in my pocket, see that I had a few bucks. Not enough. Well, if I take over Ruth's shift tonight, because she hates Monday nights, maybe I can sell something, get some spiffs, and there's my gas money. The phone company said if I don't pay my phone bill by Friday, I won't have a phone on Saturday, so I better work for Bill on Thursday, and maybe I'll sell a couple things, get my phone bill. If I'm lucky, I'll have enough left over to get a pizza, a movie, and a six-pack. And guess what would happen every week? Just that. And guess what would happen next Monday? The same thing. Now, you're not going to hurt my feelings, but let me ask you, isn't that pathetic? I mean, can you imagine getting up and going to work because you're trying to keep a roof over your head? You're going to work because you're trying to feed yourself or make a car payment? But it wasn't until somebody stepped up like Bev and said, I see something in this guy. I see something in this person, and I can get them excited. They can see there's more to get, and it will be easier. So let's take a look at this. We'll go on. The difference between people who do and people who don't is dictated by whether their goals are driven by true goals or necessities. So let's talk about what necessities are before I go any further so everybody understands them. I'm showing you this because you have to tell this to your people. You have to make them understand once you get them trained and they're ready to go. Number one, housing, that's a necessity, right? You have to have a place to live. And if it's not a house, it's an apartment. Transportation, some people say, well, you don't have to have a car. No, but you need a bike. You need shoes. So you have to have transportation. Third is clothing. Another funny thing about the United States I've learned, if you walk around naked, they get upset. Not that I've personally ever done that. I've read about people who've done it in the paper, though. Okay? And the fourth thing is food. That's a basic necessity. And here's what I can tell you. If your people are coming in because they can't make their rent, they're afraid they're going to not make their car payment, or they can't feed their kids, or they can't buy clothes, they're chasing necessities. You got to get them to see there's more. Right? And once you get them to see there's more, they'll stop worrying about this stuff, and they'll go to work for you, and they will sell more. They will get you the surveys. They will get you the retention. They will accomplish their goals, and as they accomplish theirs, your business will grow, and you will accomplish yours. All right, now, here's the mindset you need to get in. Get them in. Now, if this is going to sound cocky or pretentious, I apologize, but it's the fact. When it comes to housing, I don't even know what my house payment is. I don't even know when it's due. I know I've lived in the house for 9 years and nobody said anything, so somebody's getting their money, right? I don't worry about stuff like that. Same thing with my car. I just got a new one 7 or 8 months ago. You know what? Somebody's getting their money because I've been driving it and nobody said anything. I don't even know what my car payment is or when it's due. When it comes to clothing, I see something, I just buy it. When it comes to food, I'm hungry, I eat, because I don't worry about those things, because I know if I worry about those things, that's all I'm ever going to have. But if I can get excited about something else so much that I want it so bad that I'll do anything within the legal limits of the law to get it done and focus on that, by accomplishing that, these things will take care of themselves, and that's what you got to get your people to see. And Bev saw that in me. So here's what she did. When she saw me become complacent, she started fishing around for things for me to get interested in. And finally one day, here she got it. She took me to the Indianapolis 500, and I was hooked for life. I'll never forget the first time I went there. She set me down in the stands, her and her husband and a couple of the other people that worked. And that first car comes by going 210 miles an hour, and I said, man, that's what that gig's about, because even though I lived 15 minutes from the track, we never got to go. We didn't have the resources growing up. Second car comes by at 218, and I said, man, that looks like that's a blast. One day I'm going to become an IndyCar driver and come back and win this race. That third car went by, he was going 225, and he hit that wall with such a force that there was blood, there was body parts, there was fires, and I looked down at that big, bloody, fiery mess, and I made a decision that day. I said, one day, I'm going to buy me an Indy car, and I'm going to hire the best driver I can find to win me that trophy. Because I didn't want to drive anymore. It looked like it could hurt. But I was hooked, and I walked out of that day, and I told my friends, I'm going back to the race in 2 weeks. And they all laughed, because back there it was sold out. It would take you 5 years just to get a bad seat. He thinks he's going to the race, ha, ha, ha. But I went, had a crappy seat, but I knew I loved the event. I said, next year I come back, I need a better seat. I'm going to sit in one of these turns. And I pointed to the third turn, I said, I'm going to sit there next year. For the next year, I told my friends, and they all laughed at me. He thinks he's sitting in the third turn. It takes 20 years to get those seats. Ah. I sat there, I looked across that raceway, and I saw those first turn suites, And I said, that's the best place in the house to sit because that's where you can see everything. I'm sitting there next year, and for the next year, they all told me, or they all called me Penthouse Jeff. He thinks he's sitting in the penthouse. You can't get those seats unless somebody dies and wills you the tickets. But I sat there, and I've sat there ever since, 36 times in a row. Now, these tickets, you cannot get them. They will not sell them to you because people have owned them since the first day the track opened. No kidding, when they built those suits, family owns them. So here's what it takes. It takes me $800 a seat, $100 face value, $150 face value. I need 4 seats because I go, and then I take our in-laws because she's happy, everybody's happy, right? So just to walk in the door, it's $3,200, not including the flights from California, not including the programs or anything else, but I tell you what, I pay it gladly every year, and here's why. Anybody in here ever been to the Indianapolis 500? You have? It was a great time, wasn't it? Best 5 minutes of sports every year, start that race. Let me walk you through it. You see, you want to get there about 10 in the morning because they have out on the track past winning cars, driven by legends like A.J. Foyt and Parnelli Jones and the Unzers, the Andrettis. You see the cars from 1911, 1920, 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And then the Purdue Marching Band comes out. The police come out with their motorcycle drill team. And then you get to 11. And then they start to utter those great words, all cars to the track. And they bring out those 33 thoroughbred race cars, and they line them up in 11 rows to 3. And there's an instant burst of colored enthusiasm, and these cars are surrounded by 50,000 rabid fans. Because see, if you run the Indy 500 just once and never turn a lap, you're a hero. Everybody wants to be around an Indy car driver. You pick up the pace. Mom Brady comes out. Florence Henderson, she sings America the Beautiful. And then Gomer Pyle comes out. Remember him? And sings Back Home Again in Indiana. You've heard this before, right? You got to go see that stuff, man. It happens right there. It's exciting. And then the pastor comes out and says a prayer. And then one of the military leaders come out, an admiral general, and they say a prayer for all the people who have given up everything so we can come to events like this. The tears well up in your eyes. And they have taps playing and jets fly by, stealth bombers, stealth fighters. We get the real stuff at Indy. It's a big event. Biggest single sporting day event in the world. 500,000 people. It's estimated to show up there. You count who's in the middle of the field. And then about the time you can't take it anymore, Mary Holman George, the owner of the track, she steps up and says the most beautiful words a guy like me can hear every year. Keeping in mind that both men and women run that race, here's what she says. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. And those 33 thoroughbred race cars were to life, and the hair is stand up on the back of your neck. You look down at that field, and all you see is a bunch of team members going like this, indicating that our car is started and it's ready to roll. It's only a few seconds later that those first 4 pace cars come by, and then the main pace car, and here comes the field. And that first parade lap, it's beautiful. Open cockpit car. We're sitting up in the penthouse. You can look right down inside. You see them tightening their gloves, adjusting their helmets. And this is the time to wave on that first lap, and we do, and they wave back. I know they're really waving at the great-looking girls that's always sat behind me, but it's my $800, and if I want to act like they're waving at me, they're waving at me. After 2 or 3 laps of that, then the track announcer comes on and says, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you remain standing because here comes the field one more time. This is the last time today that you will see these young, brave men and women at speeds of 100 miles an hour. Because the next time they come by, they would be going at speeds in excess of 235 miles an hour. So stand up and wish them Godspeed like he has to tell us. But this time when they come by, there's no waving. It's both hands on the wheels looking straight ahead as they start to get their head in the game. They come underneath our feet into turn 1, down the short chute into turn number 2, and they disappear down the backstretch. 500,000 people in the place. You could drop a pin, nobody says a word. The tension's so thick, so tight, you could cut it with a knife. About the time you can't take it anymore, the announcer comes on and says, boy, I wish you could see what I see. These cars are perfectly aligned in 11 rows of 3. As they make their way toward turn number 3, the pace car now pulls away as it picks up speed, going in excess of 180 miles an hour. But where's the field? The field now is through turn number 3 into the short chute as it sets itself up for turn number 4. But where's the pace car? Pace car now in the main straightaway. We got to see a star of the race. Is he dropping down in the pits? Is he going by one more time? Ladies and gentlemen, he's dropped off the track, so where's those cars? Here comes the first 9, 10, 11 rows. The flagman looks at the starter looks at the flagman. It's green lights and it's green flags, and we're racing in Indy. Now, this is where it gets exciting because in the first turn, they come right at me. And on TV, it looks like they're about 4 or 5 feet apart. They're inches apart, 3 wide, 4 wide. They're going on that first opening lap, 240 miles by the time they get to us. You stand there and you lean back because you know this could get really bad, but the last second, they get their act together. They come right underneath my feet in a single single file line. There's a burst of air. There's methanol burning your eyes. You can't see. You're choking on the dust. But hell yeah, we're racing at Indy. Now, I know that most of you in here wouldn't take $3,200 to walk across the street to see that race, but it's what I live for. And here's why. You see, when I got out of bed this morning, I wasn't getting out of bed so I could keep a roof over my head. I wasn't trying to pay a car payment or feed my wife or get clothes. I'm here today because I am going to the Indy 500. And here's what I ask your advisors. That's why I got out of bed. Why did you? And they give me the same reaction because they don't know. Is it going to be a Super Bowl? You want to go see the World Series? You want to build a new house? You want to college educate your kids? What's it going to take to make you want to get out of bed and go to work and master those closes and master those word tracks and master that walk around, conquer that survey, conquer retention, and do anything within the legal limits of the law to make it happen? Who in here would like to go to Hawaii? Let me show you how we're going to do this. All right? First thing to do is this. I called my travel agent and I said, Andy, we're in San Francisco. 2 people want to go to Hawaii. How much? He said, $4,800. $4,800. If you raised your hand, there you go. Well, a lot of advisors think that's too much money, so we'll break it down to over 12 months, $400 a month. Less than most car payments. Still a lot of money? Let's divide it by 4 weeks, $100 a week. Want to get goofy? Divide that by 5, $20 a day. You're going to Hawaii. Here's how you're going to make it happen. Here's how you're going to show them how it's going to happen. First thing you're going to need is a hotel. So we're going to get online. We're going to book them a room at the Sheraton in Kaanapali over in Maui, 15 stories up, facing the ocean. Tell them when you go to Hawaii, you don't want to stay at the Red Roof Inn with the dumpster outside your door. You want to be at the Sheraton 15 stories up with those windows open, so at night when that beach is hitting, that water's hitting that beach, you can hear it. It's going to cost them $1,200. They pay $100 a week. First quarter's over, their hotel's paid for. Then number 2, the next thing they're going to need is flights. Wouldn't buy them any sooner, wouldn't buy them any later. Going to cost them $1,200. Put them on their credit card, pay that credit card $100 a week. 6 months into this deal, they're halfway on their way to Hawaii. Number 3, they're going to need sites. What do they want to do when they get there? They want to snorkel, they want to scuba dive, whale watch, go to a luau. I say go to 2 luaus. You ever tasted that pig? They cook in the ground all day long. I go 3 or 4 of them every day if you want me to. And then the next thing we have controversy over. Some people like to take the final $1,200 and buy clothes. Well, I've been lucky enough to go to Hawaii. And here's what I know about Hawaii. You don't need clothes. If the person you took is interested in their clothes, you're taking the wrong person. Because here's what I would do. I'd take that $1,200, I'd stuff it in my pocket, and I'd get on that, and I'd go to Walmart, get the cheapest pair of flip-flops and the cheapest bathing suit I could find, put on an old t-shirt, get on that airplane. When I got off that airplane, first stop, a souvenir stand. Why? Get one of those little girls, Hawaiian girls, so you stick it on the dash of your rental car, and you're driving that, and every time you turn the corner and she goes like this, you know where you are. And here's the best thing. And here's what I tell the advisors. When it's time to come home and get on the airplane, what do you have to worry about? Nothing. You want to know why? It's paid for. All you have to decide is you're going back to Hawaii next year for longer. You're going to Tahiti. You're going to add on to the house. What are you going to do? And here's the thing, and this is what makes it beautiful. You're no longer getting up to go to work because you're trying to keep the lights on. You are going to work because you are going to Hawaii. Puts a whole new spin on it. Makes it fun. And by focusing on that and making that happen, because it's going to take an extra 4 or 5 tenths, the necessities take care of themselves. Managers, it's good for you too. You want to know why? Because now you can manage your people through their goals and show them that they can not only have the preferred lifestyle, but a lifestyle they never thought they could have. You can walk out at 6 months and say, look, you said you want to go to Hawaii in a year. We're 6 months into this. And if you keep this up, you have enough to go at 9 months. If you want to go at 9 months, I'll pay for an extra 2 days. Good job. Or you said you want to go to Hawaii in a year. We're 6 months into this deal. If you stay on this path, you might make it to Beech Grove, Indiana, but you're not making it, you're not going to Hawaii. Now, there's nothing wrong with Beech Grove, Indiana, because I grew up, I've spent a lot of time in Beech Grove, Indiana, but there is a problem with Beech Grove, Indiana, and you know what it is? It doesn't have a beach, okay? Message heard. But here's even the bigger thing. Owners, managers, but following what I've laid out here today, what you've done is this. You put yourself in the position, instead of being thought of at the end of your career as somebody who started a business and built a business and made a lot of money for themselves. By following what I laid out here today, you're going to create a legacy for yourself that you can be proud of. Because if you do what I did here today, what you're going to do is you're going to find these people, you're going to train these people, and after you train these people, you're going to show them how to be successful. They're going to have their preferred lifestyle. You're going to show them how to have a lifestyle they never thought they could have. And they're going to look back, and they're going to see you as the person, just like I see Bev, the person that believed them in enough to invest in them. And forever, you'll be seen as the person who went out, found the people, trained the people, motivated them, made them successful, and put them in a lifestyle they never thought they could have. And you were successful because you took the time to make other people successful. And when they became successful, you're successful. And that's a legacy anybody could be proud of. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're talking about. So, where are we over here? Here's where we are. Larry Dorfman's a tough guy. And he always tells me, do everything you can to knock him out, and then get off that stage when that light says so. So let me just say this. Big honor to get to speak at the best training day ever for a third time. This is a heady a group of guys to be associated with, and you talk about the likes of the speakers that are here today and the professionals and you being here as well today. So let me just say this. My name is Jeff Cowan, and I have a company called Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk, and I love working in fixed operations. I love training service advisors and service managers and show them how to be the most successful people they can be. That's how I'm trying to build my legacy. So on behalf of everybody that works at Pro Talk, on behalf of myself, thank you very much, because what you saw here today is how pros talk, think, and act. Enjoy the day. Thank you very, very much, okay?